What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the TLZ podcast, where we sit down with elite athletes and professionals to break down the journey, the mindset, and what it really takes to compete at the highest level. Because as we always say here, when you train your mind, you change your game. Before we get started, if you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to hit that like button and the subscribe button down below. It truly helps the channel grow. Also, don't forget to follow us on our socials at the TLZ podcast to stay up to date on upcoming guests and highlights. Now let's get into today's episode. Joining us today is one of the most accomplished American mixed doubles players of her generation. She's represented the United States on the international circuit for over a decade, competing regularly on the BWF World Tour and reaching a career-high world ranking inside the top 20, a rare achievement for a U.S. player. She is a Pan American Games gold medalist, winning the title at the 2015 Pan Am Games, and was a key figure in the U.S. mixed doubles event throughout her competitive career. Since stepping away from the international competition, she has continued to impact the sport from a different angle. She is now a licensed physical therapist, working closely with badminton athletes on injury prevention, movement efficiency, and long-term performance. And also currently serves as the coaching director for USA Badminton, helping shape coach education, athlete development, and the future of high-performance badminton in the United States. Welcome to the podcast, Jamie Subandhi.
Thank you, Tony.
Hi, Jamie. Thank you for coming onto the podcast today. I know that, your schedule is super packed with, all of your work and the things that you're doing for the badminton community. So thank you for coming on and giving us your time.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's great to be here.
Awesome. Yeah, we can jump right in. Obviously you have a very accomplished badminton career, right? And besides your adult career, you also had a very well-rounded junior career when you started at a very young age. And one of the most noticeable one is that in 2003, as a 13-year-old, you actually competed in the Pan Am Games for adults, right? That's how good you were at that level. So can you walk us through that experience, like playing an adult tournament at that level and also at that young age?
Yeah, I thought it was an amazing experience. It was my first international tournament. And at that time, we did a team trials event. So everyone just played each other, and whoever was the top 2 or 3 in those trials made it. And I was so young, I didn't really think anything of it until people started approaching me and telling me that, oh, this is a great accomplishment. But I'm thankful that I was able to make it. Yeah, and I had a lot of good role models on that team too, many who became Olympians as well. So I just had a really good experience there. And competing in those games, I feel like since so many people were talking about my age, I felt like I had to be older than I was. So I ended up just trying harder, I think. I think a lot of even my own pride kicked in because I wouldn't want to take breaks. I wanted to prove that I was good enough to be there. And that was actually to my detriment because then I wouldn't hydrate, I wouldn't recover well. And then during the games, I suffered through heat exhaustion and almost fainted on the court. And then my lips actually turned blue and then my nails were a little pale. So we had a trainer assigned to the badminton team, and then she had to help me cool down too. And 2 of my teammates who are also Olympians, Eva Lee and Mesani Menkalakiri, they came and fanned me with towels and got me ice so I wouldn't pass out.
Wow. That's a crazy experience. I mean, where did you guys play that year again?
That was in Dominican Republic. And that was my first exposure to someone who's involved in sports medicine with the trainer that we had.
Right. And what kind of venue was it? Was it like one of those tents where it just traps heat in?
It wasn't a tent, but an actual building. Yeah. So
I see.
It was just really hot that summer. Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. Because I remember we played a Pan Am Championships in Mexico before. For that one, it was it looked like a tent, right? And then inside was just steaming because all the heat was being trapped in there. And then everybody who played, even if you play 2 sets, you're dripping sweat. That's how bad it was. So I feel like every time players play in South America, it's just everybody goes through this heat stroke moment. But yours was so extreme, right? Where you were just your lips were turning blue and everything.
Yeah. But thankfully I was surrounded by people who could help me recover.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, now you are one of those people, right, that are helping these athletes in the exact same way. But before we get into that, right, you obviously dominated junior badminton, right, all the way up until your last year in 2007. You were winning junior nationals, junior Pan Ams, all of these major tournaments at the time, right? But at the same time, you were studying and applying for college, where you eventually
Right.
attended UCLA. So, how did you manage to do both at such a high level?
I think that I can give a lot of credit to my parents for that. They supported me through that. They really pushed for me to do well in both fields, like not just badminton, but also school. They didn't want me to, I guess you could say, like fall behind in either direction. Yeah. And my dad would always speak to with the school and tell them, explain the situation of like, oh, my daughter's going to travel for these tournaments. So she's not just missing school to miss school. And my school was very supportive of that. Yeah. And the athletic director was also very supportive. So was he always made sure that I was looked after, I guess, in that sense, so that I wouldn't get reprimanded at school for missing days. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's definitely awesome. And it's great to have such supportive parents, right? And eventually, you get into UCLA, right, with these amazing achievements in badminton. But the thing that sets you apart from all the other guests that we've had on so far is that you actually chose to finish school, right, before you start actually playing badminton professionally. So when you were making that decision going to college, did you ever think about maybe I should push back college and focus on badminton first?
But yes, I went through the whole process. I'm sure a lot of people do in deciding, should I continue? Should I go to school? There's a lot of even parental pressure too of wanting their daughter or their son, right, to go to school after high school. They don't want them to just continue playing sports. Yeah. So I think in light of that, I could see how much struggle it was for my parents to, like, if I were to decide to go with badminton, I don't think they would be very happy with that. And I don't think I would be honoring to just their support of me throughout my life. So that's how I decided to go to college instead, just to honor their wishes too. I mean, I wanted to go to
I see.
UCLA too. That was my top school choice. I spoke with my high school counselor and I was talking to him about how maybe I should take a gap year to travel. And he did not like that at all. But I think he thought that I meant just travel for fun, not like travel to compete and things like that. But I could tell that that route would have been so, I guess, different than the traditional route. And I didn't want to get my degree. So it was just a choice I had to make. And it was hard. I definitely like enjoy playing badminton, right? And they had club sport too. Or did you play in the badminton club too?
I actually tried out my first year there. I
Oh,
went to the
okay.
whole trial, I did the whole thing, but then I just decided not to do it. I had a lot going on at the time. Like I was doing like this internship the whole time that I was at college. So I was really busy with that. And I was kind of driving a lot back and forth as well because I had other commitments going on. And then
Er,
also after COVID, like I stopped training too because I was dealing with a knee injury. Now, like I'm looking back, maybe I should have, went and joined and just had fun with the people.
okay.
But you were there 4 years, right? You were like their captain and everything. You were like the top of the food chain there.
Yeah, so I was there all 4 years, and then v- I was president of the club for 3 years. Yeah, and then running UCLA or Bruin Open every year. Yeah,
That's always one of the biggest college tournaments. A lot of people go play. Even now, I'm still kind of surprised your parents pushed you to do more education because your parents are Indonesian, right? Are both of
yeah,
them Indonesian? So I would
yes,
imagine they're like super big fans of badminton. They will want you to pursue badminton instead.
no.
Not the case.
Maybe my dad would on some level, but I think they both would prefer me to have an education. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what a lot of parents would like for
Hmm.
sure. But you chose your degree for college as physiological science for your major, right?
Hmm.
Was there a reason for that?
Yes. So I wanted to go into medicine when I entered UCLA. I didn't know exactly what profession yet, and I wanted it to cover all the bases. Physiological science, or phi-sci it goes by at UCLA, would cover everything. So if I wanted to go the MD route, a DO, chiro, PT, nutritionist, it would cover all of that. And they go pretty in depth with physiological science. Yeah, and I wanted to learn more about the human body and how it worked. So that's why I ultimately chose that one. Because UCLA doesn't have a kinesiology major. So I think the closest one would be physiological science.
I see. And I'm guessing just you as a badminton athlete played a big part in that decision, right?
Yeah, and just wanting to learn more about how the body works. Yeah, because we're always talking about how we need to listen to our body when we play too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. When you actually got into college, right, in your last year as a junior, you actually went to go play the Pan Am Games in Rio de Janeiro again, where you won bronze. You actually placed that year. How impactful was that tournament for you?
Oh, I mean, I love being part of any Team USA tournament. It's great. Like both the 2003 and 2007, you get to meet athletes from different uh, disciplines, their sports. You get to meet people on staff from the US Olympic Committee. It's just a different atmosphere. Like everyone is very passionate about their sport. Everyone's at the top of their game, and we're all like, I guess you could say, feeding off each other in terms of energy. Like everyone wants to do their best, and everyone's supportive of each other. It makes competing like open your eyes to other people who are competing in struggling maybe through similar experiences, but just in a different field. Yeah.
For sure. I mean, since this is your second Pan Am Games, did you, going into a tournament, were you thinking like, okay, this time I want to place, right? Like get into the top four?
Oh, I just wanted to do my best, honestly. At that time, I don't think I was thinking about a medal. I was just like, wow, this is great to be here. And I want to do well. I want to do my best. Yeah.
For sure, for sure. I mean, it's always an honor to just get chosen to these events, right? Because it's like a whole journey. You're going through tryouts and everything. But yeah, I completely know where you're coming from. Now, since you went to UCLA, were you always planning to pick badminton back up after graduating?
Good question. I was not actually. I was planning to go to PT school, which I decided on the physical therapy profession because I was part of the UCLA sports medicine program and it was a 3-year internship. And then I had the opportunity to work with many different medical professionals, physical therapists, athletic trainers, nutritionists, doctors. And I really enjoyed my time with the physical therapist on how he was analyzing movement and really trying to pinpoint what is the limiting factor for this athlete. And that's kind of how I chose that path. So after I graduated from college, I had a gap year and then I was applying to PT school. So because it's a year-long application process, right? So as I was applying during that year, I was like, okay, well, I can work as a physical therapy aide for now, or I can also play badminton again, just domestically for fun, really. Because once school starts, that is also a grind. Like, there's no time that you can just take off from school once you go into a graduate program. So I was like, I might as well utilize this time right now. And that's when OCBC, which I had trained at since they opened, Philip and his grandpa approached me and asked if I wanted to try and compete and qualify for 2016 Olympics. Then I was thinking, well, I wasn't sure when they first approached me because I was still waiting for my school applications. And I had asked them if we could wait until I get an answer from the schools. And then they were very patient with me. After I waited, I got waitlisted everywhere. So I was like, oh, okay, I guess that's my answer. And Philip and I had played together once when we were juniors. Yeah. He was 5, I think, and I was 9. And we
Wow.
got second we got second place in the mix. So anyways, yeah. And that's kind of like where we started. But that's kind of how I went back to them and said, okay, let's go for it. There's no other time. Like I can apply to school again at any time because school will always be there. But I've graduated. There's no other reason that's holding me back now from trying this path. So that's how I went from like this path to this one.
Yeah, that's
Unconventional.
incredible.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, that's definitely conventional. Yeah, it's crazy because you started your journey in OCBC. Like that club has been there for so long. I don't know if people know this because they don't really play junior tournaments anymore at OCBC. But OCBC is one of those OG clubs, like one of the origins of badminton in the US, right? And of course, like Philip's grandpa is one of the OGs of badminton, like in the US. Like that goes into the badminton history books, right? As one of the most influential people in the community. So yeah, that's really cool. And you know, you did play in the badminton club in UCLA, right? The whole time you were there. But obviously that's very different from playing professional badminton, right? So was it difficult to begin playing professional badminton after taking so much like time off in between?
Yes, it was very challenging. So from the time that I had stopped competing and then the time I started again, the game had already changed so much. It was faster than before. The game was more aggressive because it's a rally point versus the 11 point for women's singles and then 15 point before for doubles. and then you can only score when you serve. But then now it's a rally point system, so everyone is more aggressive and faster and hitting faster. And I had been, even though I was playing, it was in comparison, I was not really conditioned to the point of like to play at BWF tournaments. So I spent maybe about the first year just catching up really in both learning what the game is like now, or not now, but at that time, and getting my body actually physically fit enough to compete. Yeah.
Right. Did your like education from UCLA about, physical therapy and working on the body, like did that help you with this transition?
Absolutely, because during that sports medicine internship program, we were working with athletes. So I worked with 1 quarter with UCLA football, and then the rest of the program with water polo. Yeah, and then just working with them, it literally showed me the importance of recovery, warming up, and just taking care of your body. Because, like, an athlete could be really fit, and then if they get injured because they didn't know how to warm up or stretch properly during their practices and their games, then it takes them out of the season or it takes them out of the game, just depending on the severity of the injury.
Yeah, for sure. Did you remember what you did differently, like when you came back after college compared to what you were doing in juniors?
I was warming up more. I was warming up
That's a
more
good,
and stretching more, yes, and just being
that's a
more
good one.
mindful of that, yeah. I think the hardest part is holding back when, maybe my body's not up for it, like, there's that athlete in me that wants to push through things, and then there's the medical side of, "Well, maybe you shouldn't for this time." Yeah.
For sure, for sure. I feel like every athlete, that's one of the things that like they go through is the before the preparation and then the after like recovery. Because those things sometimes is more difficult than the actual training. Because training, you know what you're gonna do, right? You have a set routine, but sometimes just sitting there and icing and taking the time to stretch, like those things are so tiring and you're already, exhausted from the training. You're still trying to do all this recovery. It's just as hard as the training itself, right? But that's where like your professional like physical therapists come in to help, right, if you have that opportunity. And
Yeah.
but yeah, when you started playing professional again, how did you manage to travel and like compete financially?
OCBC and Yonex were my sponsors, so they were able to cover the, expenses for both training and travel.
Oh, so I'm not sure if it was just Yonex alone, would they be able to cover travel?
Yonex was mainly, based on performance, so, yeah, of course, like, the better you perform, the more funding you have, right? And then OCBC did the majority of the funding for travel.
I see. That's why you guys were able to play all these different tournaments, right? Because especially at that time, like you just came out of college, you weren't working, right? I'm sure.
I had a physical therapy aide job just in as I was applying to school, but
Oh,
when I
okay.
was training, I stopped, like, yeah, I didn't
I see.
want to
Got it.
have my attention split or divided. Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah, I didn't wanna, like, try for this round and then not having put everything in it. I didn't wanna have any
Yeah,
regrets there. I didn't wanna, like, go through this path, be like, "Oh, maybe if I didn't do this, then I would've made it."
for sure, for sure. I mean, looking back at the journey that you've gone through now, would you have made a different decision? Would you have gone and played badminton first, or do you think you would still taken the same route?
That's a good question too. I think I would have tried to do both. I think I would have tried to do both because I didn't know that I could take a gap year in college. Like some people take years off from college and then compete, and I didn't know that was a possibility that you could present to your college advisor or something like, "Hey, I want to do this. I want to take some time off of school." If I knew that was an option, I think I would have been more open-minded to that. Yeah.
I see. Yeah, I feel like the college advisors, they stick to like a script, like a structure that they're used to. And then once you kind of deviate from what they're used to, they start getting a little like they don't know what to do either, right? Because they're taught this structure. Right? That's the feeling I get. I don't know for you.
No, I can see that because I didn't realize that a gap year could be requested. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but I think
I know
more
what you mean.
people have done that now.
Yeah, I think some players have done it, but also like one of the concerns is that like if you take a gap year and you come back, sometimes your brain is like kind of switched off from school mode and then you got to turn it back on. Like you got tests now, you got homework. Like it's actually quite tough to come back into the school environment. I think that's what
I
players are
think,
worried about.
yeah, someone brought that up to me after I told them, like, actually, one my aunt brought that up to me because I told her I was going to try for Olympics. And then she said, I thought you were going to PT school. What happened? And she told me, hey, you might have a hard time coming back. But for me, I was like, no, I won't. So I didn't have that issue because I knew like where I wanted to go afterwards. So I just had
I
more
see.
clarity in that. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. Awesome. I mean, you were confident in your abilities, in school. So that's why you're able to make those decisions, right? But obviously, even with the decision that you made without the gap year, you guys did really well, right? With Philip, you guys won multiple tournaments, including the 2015 Pan Am Games, where you finally won your first gold medal, right, in Pan Am Games. What did that feel like?
Yeah, that was amazing. We played Toby and Alex in the finals from Canada, and we had never beaten them before that tournament. And so there was a lot of pressure in that tournament because we're basically racing in the rankings, right? So if whoever wins that tournament gets more points, right? And then you move higher in the ranking. So that was a really important match for us to win and just for ourselves too, because we had never beaten them before.
Yeah, I saw the game. The score was like 3 sets, right? It was
It
really
was
tight.
3 sets. Yes, yes. It was kind of a blur. It's hard for me to recall the majority of that game, just like key points. Like I remember winning the first game and thinking, "Oh, I hope we can keep this going." And then the second game we were doing pretty well. And then I want to say in the middle of it, maybe around 12 points, we kind of like lost our rhythm. And then they won that game pretty easily, the second one after midpoint. And then the third set, I really have a hard time recalling it because we were just we were just going hard. And then
Yeah.
similar to the second set where after 11 points, I think we just started winning a lot after that. Like the second half of the third set, we just took off to 21 from what I
Mm. Some
recall.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just get into that rhythm, right? And I know, like, once you're in that zone, sometimes you're not really like thinking much, right? So it's just kind of like a blur, just passing by, you, and you end up winning the game in the end, right?
Yeah. And I remember telling myself to breathe because in doubles, well, in singles too, but service is so important. And throughout the years of competing, I noticed that I would stop breathing every time I was about to serve, especially if the game was really important. So that was like a key point throughout the match was reminding myself to breathe before I served. Yeah, because then I would
Mm.
shake more and just make more mistakes just as a analysis of the game. Yeah.
Wow, that's a really good observation. But then my next question is like, so what if your opponent raises their hand? Then are you holding your breath? Like, okay, when are you putting your hand down?
That was so that was part of the problem. I would just hold my breath and then I would make
Really?
mistakes. Yeah, but I
The
didn't
whole
notice
time?
like yeah, so I would have to remind myself to breathe and just take a step if sometimes I'm ready to serve and the opponent could have their hand up or just not have their hand up and then suddenly put their hand up, right? And then I have to start over. So I had to learn to take more time. Like if they're going to disrupt the rhythm, then I need to reset too. Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, at this time when I went to go, just I think it was 2 days ago, we were watching the like junior tournament. It's an open regional, and one of the things I noticed about the junior players that the players that are seeded, like the ones that are pretty high ranked, they understand pacing and rhythm, right? They know the importance of it, and then a lot of other players they don't understand. The minute like they pick up the bird, they serve. Right. The minute like their opponent is ready to serve, they're getting ready. Right. Even if maybe they're not ready themselves, they're just like, okay, we got to go. Right. So they don't really understand right now the pacing and the rhythm of your game and how important that is to actually having a successful serve and return and also throughout the rally. Right.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like as they grow older, they're going to start to see, the difference between being in rhythm and out rhythm. Right. Because there's a huge difference when you play on the court. But yeah, after that tournament, you had a severe accident a few months before the Olympic
Yeah.
qualification started, right? Can you tell us what happened
So that was before Pan Am Games. Oh,
before Pan
sorry.
Am Games?
You're talking about after Pan Am It was before Pan Am
I put
Games.
Was it before?
Yes, it was December 2014 is when I got into a car accident.
Okay, got it.
Because qualification period started, let's see, started in the beginning of 2015, and then Pan Am Games was in the middle of that, right? And then I had my car accident in December. So in January of 2015 is when we had a trial event for Pan Am Games.
Yes.
Yeah. And it was hard to compete in that because I was still recovering from the accident. So what happened was I was on the freeway and then the traffic came to a full stop. And then the car behind me didn't know that traffic came to a stop. So they were going like full speed as if there was no traffic and rear-ended me. So I heard the screeching and then my head was turned to the right. And then when they hit me, my head kind of like whipped back to the left here. And I had contacts and glasses at that time. So I wasn't wearing my contacts, so I had my glasses on. So my glasses like threw off and I couldn't see. And then my car sideswiped two other cars in front of me, which was fortunate because I think it would have been worse if I had hit the car straight on in front of me. Yeah. Um, and then I went to the hospital that night. Thankfully, nothing was broken, but it was just really hard to move. Like it felt like my back was, I can't think of a better description other than empty. Like I feel like I had no core. Like it felt my neck was in a lot of pain and I felt disconnected from my lower body to my upper body. Like there was nothing connecting it. So I had to do a lot of rehab. I had my own physical therapist and he like basically guided me through my whole rehab process and into performance too. And he helped me just kind of gain my range back, gain my strength back, get my feeling back in terms of the connection between my upper body and lower body. And yeah, that was right before the qualification year started, which is like one of the most crucial times, right? Yeah.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
the trial event for Pan Am Games was during the time I was still recovering. So I had to push through that.
Wow. I
But
mean, that must
yeah.
be super scary, right? Like during the accident, also like that feeling afterwards, right?
Yeah, it just felt like I couldn't control my legs, like, it didn't feel like I was connected to them.
Could you walk or did it feel like paralyzed almost? That because that's what it
Oh,
sounds like.
sorry, I wasn't paralyzed, no, but it just felt like there was no connection, like, it was hard to move, my core felt empty, like, I felt like I couldn't tighten my abs at all. Yeah, so, yeah, I had a hard time just even, like, getting out of bed, um and moving. We had to pull out of tournaments in January too because we had some lined up overseas. Yeah, but Philip did a great job during the trial event for Pan Am Games because, he kinda stepped up his game during that event in order for us to qualify. Yeah.
I see, I see. So you weren't at 100% either at that tournament. You were still struggling with the injuries you got from the car accident. So were you able to train? How long did you do PT before you were able to actually start training again after that accident?
Maybe about a month.
That's actually quite quick, right?
It was well, it was probably a month until I started, like, being on court again. So, on court meaning, like, I would do a lot of just technique, not doing fast movements. Yeah, yeah. So,
I see.
a lot of standing and hitting and refining all my shots.
Yeah, I mean, those things are important, right? Because in the end, it comes
Yeah,
down to that.
my coach and I, he was kinda joking like, "Hey, this is kind of a blessing because now you can really refine your mixed doubles shots versus having a singles style all the time." Yeah, because it was
Yeah, I
hard to
mean,
transition during a tournament going from, like, singles to mix and back and forth. So
yeah.
that's valid
Yeah,
though. I did have that opportunity to hone in on my mixed doubles skills and shots.
for sure. I mean, and as like a professional athlete, you're traveling all the time. You barely have that consecutive training time to focus on just like your skills and everything like that. I'm sure it was very helpful. But yeah, I mean, I would imagine that whole experience like would give you like trauma just driving in the future, right?
Yeah, yeah. These are good questions. Yeah, not a lot of people ask these questions. Very, very insightful. So
No,
sometimes
you know why I asked this question is because like my brother got into a huge accident. I don't know if you know Ricky. I'm sure you do, right?
Ricky, yeah,
Yeah, he got into this huge car accident like a few years ago, and he doesn't tell any of us. Like nobody in the family knows what actually happened, but we just know that the car got totaled. Right, the car got totaled. He got sent to the hospital. The ambulance came and everything. So it was like really bad. And I think he got hit by like a semi or something, or like some kind of truck. Right, and he after he got into that accident, he didn't want to drive for like a while. Like he was very cautious. He didn't want to get on the road too much. It really messes up like your whole perception of driving, right?
yeah. I think my parents were scared too. So my dad actually
Yeah.
drove me for a little bit. He wouldn't let me drive.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um, I still had some fear too. So sometimes when I was driving, if I heard like some screeching, I'd be worried. Or if traffic came to a full stop, I made sure to turn on my emergency blinkers to signal to the person behind me that traffic is slowing down. Yeah, I would drive very slowly.
Yeah, I mean, that experience stays with you forever, I feel like. But, the great thing is that everything should be you're okay now, right? Like, your body is all good.
Relatively, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, okay, that's good, that's good. No, it's great that, it wasn't serious, like, damage
Yeah, nothing
overall, but, yeah,
broken. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, God forbid, so that's great. And, yeah, when did you start feeling like, "Okay, like, my body feels like it's back to normal again," you're, back on the road?
It's hard to say if it ever felt normal, you know? It felt good enough where I could compete. 'Cause then I think we started traveling again that year in maybe February, either mid or late February, because we couldn't hold off for too long. Yeah. So I would be doing rehab on the road too. So I have, like, my rehab kit, basically. Yeah.
I see.
And, yeah, just kinda self-managing on the road.
Got it. What was the most stressful part of qualifying for the Olympics?
I mean, it's kind of all stressful, but probably the most stressful, I'd say 2 experiences were most stressful. One was Pan Am Games, which I also remember another memorable moment. And then the second one was the last tournament of the qualification year, which was in Tahiti. We were pretty neck and neck with Toby and Alex in terms of qualifying. So whoever did better in that tournament would be the one going. And we both played in that tournament, but we were on opposite ends of the draw. So there was a possibility that if we both met each other in the finals, whoever won that match would be the one to go to Olympics. So I think that was really stressful going into it. And the mats were really wet. So everyone was slipping everywhere. And I'm good when I can like move fast and quick on the court, but if it's slippery, I'm falling. So yeah, that was very stressful that like the environment was like that. Tahiti's not stressful in itself. Tahiti's great.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, just the condition and then the context of like whoever does better in this tournament is the one going after all this time. It comes down to like the last tournament of the year. I think that was the most stressful. Those two tournaments, Pan Am Games and Tahiti, just because it was
I
the
see.
last tournament. Yeah.
Got it. Definitely. I mean, I can't imagine the pressure that you guys must have been feeling, right? So when you guys finally, realized you guys made it to the Olympics, what did it feel like? That kind of relief.
It was relieving too, but it was just, I think we're all just very happy. We're all excited, you know? And yeah, Philip was happy too. It's like, hey, we made it. I was like, great. He's more even keel than I am. So he can provide that confidence. Yeah. Yeah. So
For sure.
we're all just happy, relieved and happy though. Like, this is great. We made it. Yeah. Yeah. And it felt surreal. It felt surreal. I don't know if anyone has described it that way, but it's something that like you, I guess, are aiming for a long time. That when it comes to fruition, it's like, it's real, but it doesn't feel real. It's like, even now, sometimes like, oh, it's kind of surreal, but it wasn't my life. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you've gone through so many obstacles, right, to get to that point, right? We talked about the accident and everything else that you went through, the school, the recoveries. But yeah, I mean, to be able to get to that point must have been amazing, right?
Mhm.
But what was it like to actually, go there in 2016, right? What was that experience like at the Olympics?
It was great. It was similar to what I was describing for the Pan Am Games, where you're just surrounded by everyone who's at the top of their field, but even on a different level. Like everyone is super hyped to be there and everyone's like social, we're all talking to each other and people that you might see on whether it's Instagram or YouTube or like, oh, these are like famous athletes, like seeing them in real life is really cool. Like I really like Serena Williams. So being able to meet her in person was amazing. And Alison Felix, I'm a fan of hers. So being able to meet her too was great. It's yeah. And walking through opening ceremony, I know some athletes opt out of it just based on their schedule, but we were fortunate enough where we could go and walking out into the stadium with all the fireworks and everything, it's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Because you guys, in 2016, you guys had the whole stadium, right? Because in the 2024, the one that we talked to with Joshua about, that was on a boat, right? That was slightly different. So this
That was
whole,
on a
what was
boat,
it like?
yeah.
Yeah, what was it like going to the stadium? You got like the stadium is packed, right? There's a lot of people in
Stadium's
that
packed.
stadium. What
Yeah,
was that
there's a
like
lot
to
of
hear the
people.
cheers and everything?
It's You're just basically surrounded by people who are super excited. People are so once you enter the stadium, there's athletes who are already from other countries are already lined up on the sides and they're cheering too. So as you walk in, everyone's cheering for you, whether they're from the same country or not. And you're walking with fellow US Olympians who are just basically screaming and shouting and celebrating. Yeah, and we're all in our opening ceremony outfit and it's very patriotic, I felt like, because we're basically Team USA walking in.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, the pride in all the athletes' hearts, right? You can definitely feel that to represent your country, right? It's a huge, huge deal. But yeah, besides those, what was something at the Olympics that surprised you?
Something that surprised me. I guess I have one. I guess I have one.
Okay.
Okay. I didn't expect people to be very ready with their next plan. Like some people are already talking about what am I going to do afterwards? What are you going to do? I have this plan and this plan and this plan. I didn't expect that. That caught me by surprise. Yeah. I thought everyone's like focus and energy would be on like this event right now.
But are you saying when you say plan, are you talking about like, oh, let's go hang out after the tournament, or is it like,
No,
oh, I got a project?
what is their next like athletic
Okay.
plan or like their athletic achievement that they want to accomplish? Like what's the next milestone that they want to get to? Some
Wow.
people were talking like that.
Yeah, that shows like the level of athlete that was there, right? Like
Yeah.
everybody is just so
Yeah.
driven, right? And to be successful. That's awesome. That's a great answer. But when you went to the Olympics, I learned from Josh that Team USA gets so many perks, right? And you guys get to watch some games for free. So which sport did you want to
Yeah.
watch the most?
Beach volleyball. I really wanted to watch beach volleyball because I like volleyball and I like the beach. So, and just growing up watching like Team USA win beach volleyball a lot was really great. Yeah. So I definitely went to watch that and I watched table tennis too. Yeah. It's like a lottery system because there's not a way for everyone to get tickets to everything. Right. So it's just kind of seeing what's available in the athlete lounge area and then you can see what tickets are available to watch. You can also submit requests too, but it's not guaranteed. But the fact that we're able to even watch at all, I think is really great. And some places, I think we could have used just our badge in to watch, but I think they prefer the tickets.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think it's a little different now hearing what Josh said. I think they can now like buy tickets ahead of time and actually secure a spot. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I guess you could plan better that way. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It's good
yeah,
that they made it that way, but yeah, that's really cool. Like, I feel like Team USA got the best perks now. But yeah, that's awesome. And obviously, you guys placed a lot of great players in that group, right, for the Olympics tournament. What was that experience playing with all those top players in that stadium?
everyone, like, even though we may see each other at different tournaments, everyone plays at a different level. Like, they're even more prepared or they're even more ready than they were in other tournaments. Like, it seems like everyone's game kind of stepped up during the Olympics. Yeah. So it was even like faster. The energy is just different. Yeah. I guess, I don't know if anyone ever prepares people for that. Like, oh, you may have seen and competed with these athletes before, but it's different when it's Olympics. Everyone's gonna compete at even a higher level.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just the crowd energy, makes everybody play better. I'm imagining. So, yeah, that's definitely a big difference. But obviously, this whole journey, right, that you had that's super successful, right? The person that you spent the most time with throughout this was probably Philip, because you guys were together all the
Yeah,
time, right? For every
yeah.
tournament, every trip that you guys took. What was it like partnering with Philip?
Philip and I, we complement each other well in terms of like he can read the game really well, and sometimes I can get a little bit lost in the strategy of it or our rotation. So then he can help like direct that. And then for me, I'm also more steady, I think, and consistent. So that can complement his sometimes his inclination to take risks because he can like read some people better than I can. So he'll go for shots that he can see coming. Yeah, steady mentally. Like I think there was only one tournament where I saw him a little bit more frazzled than usual, but that helped me a lot too. Because I'll be like thinking about a lot of different things, and then he can help kind of calm that down. But then I'm also able to push him too when he needs to like be motivated as well. So I think in that sense, we're able to cover each other's weaknesses, but also play on each other's strengths. Yeah, if that does
Got
that
it.
make
Got it.
sense?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you need to have a good complementary partner to get to that level, right? At a certain point, that matters. The chemistry between the two players matter, right? So I think that's super important. And I do want to ask because, you guys reached top 20 for mixed doubles in the world. So if you could give one advice to a girl who's playing mixed doubles, like that's her main event, what would it be?
You need to be able to both set up and the rally too. So a lot of people talk about the woman is always the one like setting up the guy for a smash, but there's going to be opportunities for the female player to end the rally too, even from their own setup. So to be able to do that and to be able to counterattack. So moving from defense to offense pretty quickly in the next like 2 or 3 shots if possible. I mean, if you need longer, okay, but the plan is always turn it into offense.
Definitely. That's really good advice because I think a lot of players, especially girls who play mixed doubles, they don't really recognize that they can finish the rally too. That's a really good point that you made. Because they always think like, oh, I should just set up for the guy to smash in the back, right? Or attack as much as possible. But they can actually do damage too. And that plays a totally different role in the whole rotation and partnership. Right? That's really, really good advice. But yeah, after the Olympics, you started going back into physical therapy, right? You went and did your
Oh, yeah.
master's degree, right? So what was that like?
It was good. They changed all the programs from a master's program to a doctorate program. So it was a 3-year program. And okay, so no one talks about this either if you're going back into medicine, but you have to have prerequisite classes, right? A certain amount of bio, chem, physics, psychology, anatomy, physiology in order to apply for any medical professional school. And those classes technically expire after a certain amount of time. So depending on the graduate program that you're applying to, it will say, oh, this prerequisite class must have been taken in the last 5 years or in the last 7 years or the last 10 years. But if it's in the last 5 years, they all basically expired. So the only thing that I had that was still, I guess, sufficient was the bachelor, my degree. So I had to retake all my prerequisite classes. And that took about a year and a half to go through all the classes again. And then I applied for grad school after that.
Wow. Yeah, I think for people who are planning to do PT and playing badminton at the same time, this is really important information that you must know because I imagine the classes that expire are probably the harder classes too, right?
Yeah, 2 physics, 2 chem, 2 bio with lab,
Oh my
one
God.
psych class, and an anatomy class and a physiology class. So all
Wow.
those need and stats. So all those need to be taken again because they expire.
Damn, that's like a whole college degree again.
Yeah. So I I went through a year and a half. I got through them in
Wow.
about a year and a half. Yeah, because I was taking multiple courses, and 'cause I was like, I'm not going to take this long to go through all of them again. Oh, I actually was still competing a little bit, but that was hard.
Well, obviously Jamie is very strong academically, which is why she's able to complete it that fast.
Yeah.
But would you say like was becoming a physical therapist harder or was it training for the Olympics?
I mean, I'd have to say Olympics, right? They're both hard, but just in different ways. I'm not sure if I can directly say like one is harder than the other because they all have their own challenges. But Olympics is also more rare, right? So not everyone who tries makes it. So I'd have to say that's harder. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
if I had to
definitely.
pick one.
It's like physical and mental at the same time, right? Because you're moving your body physically.
Oh, yeah, another good point. Yeah, because when I was sitting in classes, I was thinking, wow, I can feel my body getting weaker because I spend all my days in class.
Yeah, that's a good point. My other question is, would you say this is a route that, professional players can take after playing badminton, on the world stage?
How do you mean? Like, is going into physical therapy
Yeah,
a
because the reason I ask is because a lot of badminton players, they struggle with finding a financial route after playing professional badminton, right? Because you can be a coach, obviously, or you can open a gym or whatever it may be. But we never explored that PT route, right? Because obviously there's that connection as an athlete to physical therapy. So do you think that's a route that, professional players can take?
I mean, I kind of have to say yes because I'm doing it, right? It's challenging though. It is challenging because so I went to Chapman for PT school, and Chapman is a private school, so it's not cheap. It took six figures just to get through graduate school.
Wow.
Yeah, I did part-time jobs too during my schooling, but a lot of it was my savings from when I was competing. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's definitely a hard route to take as well, right?
It's hard. It's hard. It depends what school you go to. So if you're going to like Cal State Long Beach, maybe it'd be 30 to 40 grand instead of like 100 plus grand. Yeah.
But does being an Olympian play a role in getting into the school and doing these programs?
I would think so, but I think they look at the academic part more.
Okay.
Yeah. And what your experience is in a physical therapy clinic. Yeah. Because you have to meet a certain number of hours to whether that's in the hospital or in a outpatient clinic, like a private practice clinic, you have to have certain hours in different settings in order to get in, depending on the school. So each school has their own requirements too, and you have to look at that.
Got it. Got it. So are you currently working at a clinic or your own place?
Well, I'm currently at a clinic, so it's connected to the hospital, but we're outpatient. So we have our ortho department, neuro, pediatrics, aquatic therapy. Our ortho sports is combined, and then pelvic floor and cancer rehab. So that's where I'm at now. So I'm not in the hospital, but we're connected to the hospital for the rehab facility. So think of like, I guess, like post-op ACL. I feel like a lot of people are familiar with um, individuals who need to get ACL surgeries. You
Got
can
it.
think of
Got
it
it.
like a clinic like for that or post-op shoulder, neck, or ankle sprain, something like more simple, neck pain, shoulder pain, Achilles. It's a big one for balancing players.
Yeah, that's definitely a killer. You're still very involved in the badminton community, right? And, you're working with badminton players a lot too, as a physical therapist. What are some of the most common injuries you see in badminton players?
Achilles pain, knee pain, especially in juniors because they're growing. So a lot of them, like during a tournament, because it's mainly at tournaments when I see athletes, and then they'll have a lot of knee pain. I see that a lot, especially if someone had a growth spurt and then they come with their parents and they're like, my knee hurts a lot. Some shoulder too. Some unique ones are like abdominal pain. Yeah,
But
they
yeah,
like
that's
stretch
very
too.
unique.
Yeah, that one was a more
Yeah.
unique one. Back pain is common. Back pain's common. Yeah. So back, knee, Achilles, ankle would be the most common. Blisters. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. You mentioned that, sometimes players feel that growth pain, right, on their knees. So how can parents and players differentiate between the growth pain or actual injury pain?
Oh, that's a good question too. Yeah, because there's different kinds of pain. So growth pain is, did they have a recent growth spurt? Yeah. And then
Okay.
that would be like the first question. Did my child like grow really fast all of a sudden? Yeah, because then that puts a lot of stress on the knee. Yeah.
Got it.
Versus injury pain, you'd probably see some swelling, right? Or have some tenderness around the area. Yeah. Or if it's very severe, I've never seen a quad tendon rupture in badminton players, but it would be severe bruising and swelling. You'd hear a pop too. You would feel a pop. Yeah.
Got
So,
it.
yeah, I haven't seen a lot of ACL injuries in our juniors. Yeah. But if that does happen, they might feel a pop and very unstable in their knee. And
Oof.
then
Every time you say
yeah,
pop, I feel that feeling in my stomach.
like the drop in your
Yeah.
stomach.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the worst thing you can imagine.
Yeah, but you call it like jumper's knee too. A lot of people who feel the pain in the front of their knee where that bone is. Not the kneecap,
Yeah.
but the one below the kneecap.
Right. 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 That's a really popular spot, I feel like. So would there be like for growth pain, it will probably be in a slightly different location, right? It's like more towards the shin area, I feel like on the
It could be
top
in
of the
the
shin, right?
shin or right at that bone that you can see like a little bump under the kneecap, because that's where the that's where the patellar tendon attaches. So your quad
Right.
muscle goes over your, and then it turns to tendon and it connects there. And then when someone grows really fast, it could put a lot of tension on that spot. Yeah. Or have you heard of good slaughters? Like that's usually when the tibial tuberosity, that little bump, gets really big. And then you'd have to decrease the tension on the quad muscle in order to help alleviate that pain and
Got
then
it. Got it.
strengthen it. Yeah. Sorry, I'm getting into more like treatments. I'll stop.
I took I took a year of physio, so I'm trying to follow with the terms. Okay, tibia.
Okay.
Okay, I got this. But yeah, no, I'm glad you're going into detail. Obviously, because you're working with this all the time, and but yeah, I think that's really great information for parents and players to work through, right? Because that's obviously something super common, and they're not very familiar with how it works. But if you're going through growth pain, should players just push on forward like how they normally train, or should they make adjustment almost as if it's like an injury?
I think they should make adjustments. So not necessarily an injury, but maybe taking some time to alleviate some of the tension in their muscle and to build up their strength, right? So if it's bothering them, there's no need to push through that pain, you know?
Got
So
it.
I think just taking a step back is okay, even though I know that like sometimes you like athletes themselves, they want to push themselves, right? But there's no reason to push through so much pain. Like if it's like some discomfort, maybe a one, if you're using 0 to 10 scale, 10 being I need to go to the ER, 0 being no pain. If you're like at a 1 to 3, maybe that's like more manageable. But if you're getting high up there, there's something needs to be addressed so that you don't injure yourself or build up a chronic pain that just is there for years.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I think, yeah, when it comes to growth pain, sometimes it's still manageable, right? But once it gets to that like next level, it kind of becomes an injury almost to a certain degree. And
Yeah, chronic
yeah,
pain is a real, yeah,
yeah,
is
for sure.
a real difficult situation to be in. Yeah.
Besides like the growth pain and actual injury, right? When you actually became a PT, how did becoming a former Olympian athlete change the way you treat the players that you were working on?
I'm not sure if it changed how I worked on them just because I wasn't a PT before. But just like it informs me, right? So I just remember how it was during tournaments where it's like, oh, I wish like someone could take a look at this because then I have to go on court, but no one's here that I can ask. Um, so I think it just helps me helps keep me grounded in terms of like, oh, I remember like what it was like at this point, and now I have the opportunity to be in a position to give back, like in a positive way. Yeah, because that was always like part of the plan. So even going back to 2003 for my first Pan Am Games, that was like very clear. Like, oh, this is kind of what I want to do now is compete, but then like, in what way can I give back? And being exposed to that trainer that we had kind of started it all. Like, oh, I want to give back in this way where if I have a chance to, then I can give back to the community in this way. Yeah. So if anything, it's just like comes full circle in that sense.
Definitely, definitely. I mean, I imagine like because you have that experience as an athlete that went through so many different obstacles, when you're treating like athletes, whether it's from badminton or other sports, when they go through these injuries, they're going through like this mental state change as well. But I'm imagining you can relate with these players and help them work through that as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of what I try to remember. Like, oh, they need help in getting through this game, but also keeping them safe too. Cause I understand like they might want to push through some things, but also just like relaying to them that message of, oh, like maybe like if there's a risk to this, if since you're presenting in this way, or we can do this and these are like your risks. So making sure that they have an informed decision. Cause some people might not even know that this is a sign that it could be something worse down the road if you keep playing.
Right, right. For sure, for sure. Going back to helping junior players, what is one exercise every badminton player should be doing weekly?
Single leg heel raises off a step. And when it's appropriate, do it with weight, just strengthening those calves because the Achilles needs some help. Yeah,
Definitely. I mean, we've seen so many Achilles tears already, right? In the great players that are playing on the world tour. But yeah, that's definitely a fear that every athlete has. It's getting more and more common. Just not even in badminton, but like in all sports, right? We see it happening in basketball as well and things like that. But
that's
yeah, that's really
true.
good
Yeah.
advice. Yeah, for calf
It's hard to
raises.
pick one though.
I'm sure there's a lot of things that have honorable mentions like wall sits and things like that for your knees
And
and
these are just like one dimensional, if you're doing like
right, right.
heel raises with while you're doing a lunge and a rotational movement, that could be one exercise. More
No, no,
functional
that's good. That's
movements.
good. For sure, for sure, for sure. But yeah, that's great advice. Well, obviously, you need to have a combination of different things, right? But these are some of the exercises that can protect you, especially those very vulnerable areas. But what mistakes do junior players make the most? That lead to chronic injuries later on.
If it goes ignored, like, oh, you might have this pain at this tournament, and then if it continues, it'll just be chronic pain. Like they don't get it looked at maybe when they return home. Yeah, and take care of it then too. Because there's still the aftercare, right? So after you're done with the tournament, then what are you doing for your recovery? What are you doing to build your body back up? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
No, I think that's really important. I think, badminton lacks that professional opinion, right? For a lot of players because they don't have access to it, especially for junior players. They don't really have access to that kind of professional opinion. But yeah, besides that, what advice would you give to parents, right, of elite juniors when it comes to taking care of the player's body?
Hmm. Allowing them time to stretch afterwards too. I think they do a pretty good job of that actually, but I know that they have so much on their plate, right? Even now I see kids have more homework than ever before.
Yeah.
So when they get yeah, when they get home, there's really not a lot of time. So honestly, I think the parents are doing great. Like I always see them like looking after their kids, making sure that they're getting taken care of. So I would say just keep it up, they're making sure they're fed, they're making sure they're getting ice if they need to. If anything, sometimes it's the juniors saying, "Oh, it's okay, I don't need it," you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, for the parents, just, keep it up. I think they're doing great. They're spending their time out there with their kids and just investing a lot. So, I just see a lot of love and care out there. Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. I mean, parents are the ones that contribute the most to, these players. And obviously players need to start realizing the importance of preparation and recovery because junior players don't really think about that too much just because, they're young, they still need time to mature and go through some experiences right down the road that will help them see the important side of that. But yeah, that's a really good point. And shout out to all the parents, right, that are contributing all the time. One of the other things that you're working on right now is that you recently got appointed as the coaching director for USA Badminton, right? Can you share a little bit about how you got into this position?
Yeah, so I applied for it around I want to say April, May of last year and heard back in November of last year. So a few months had already gone by and I thought that maybe someone else was chosen for that. And then yeah, I was interviewed for it and then I got approved for the position. And then it was kind of right out of the gates just working on different procedures for different events after that.
Got it, got it. What actually drew you to the position itself?
Oh, yeah, I was made aware of it and then encouraged to apply for it, and I was kind of asking other coaches too what they thought if I had applied for this position, and the people I did ask seemed supportive of it. So they're like, "Oh yeah, I support you." And then that's kind of what kind of pushed me forward in applying because it wasn't something I was originally planning to do. But it kinda came onto my plate, and then I decided to run with it, and then
Got it,
now I'm
got it.
here.
Great, great. And going into this role, when you were applying for and everything, did you are is this role able to implement changes, like things that you wanted to do and like kind of like put your little personal touch to it?
I think partly, yes. So just being able to talk about, like, how different events may run or, like, how does a selection procedure affect this if it turns out this way. So just trying to make it where it's fair for everybody and just takes into consideration maybe different situations people might be in. So, but still making it fair for everyone who is able to compete and try.
Got it, got it. And can you just give us a little more information? Because I know some people were not very familiar with like, the roles for USAB. So what does that coaching director role specifically entail?
So the coaching director position, so that means I'm also a member of the board, so the board of directors, and then I have the responsibilities of being chair of the high performance committee and the para high performance committee. So if there's anything that needs to be addressed there, if we can implement some framework for further education for even our coaches too, since they're the ones that are working with the athletes day to day. So anything we can do to help facilitate improvement in the community as a whole. Yeah, from athletes and coaches.
Nice, nice. I mean, that all seems like a lot of responsibility, right? And like you obviously have your PT job in the I'm guessing it's 9 to 5, right? And throughout the
It's
day.
a 9 to 5 style job, yeah.
Right. And you're also working on this at the same time. You must have like a super like packed day. What does your typical day look like?
Well, today, for example, in the morning, just like answering some emails in regards to the coaching director positions, responding to those, and then going to my 9 to 5. And then throughout the days, if there's any responses coming in, I'm trying to make sure I'm caught up with everything that's going on, just conversations going on. And then now I'm talking to you.
Yeah, I mean, Jamie and I, we were trying to find a schedule that worked because Jamie's schedule is so packed, right? But yeah, we're really grateful that you were able to find the time to speak with us today. But yeah, that is the end of the podcast today, actually. And thank you so much for coming on. And of course, thank you for your contributions to the badminton community, still being on the board of directors and all the great things that you're doing. So yeah, thank you so much for that. But yeah, it's been great speaking with you. Thank you so much for coming on again.
Thank you, Tony. It was great.
Awesome. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure you click that like button and the subscribe button down below. Show that support for the channel. And of course, follow us on our socials at the TLZ Podcast. Make sure to stay updated on all of the information that are coming out on future guests and the highlights. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.